Imagine crouching in absolute silence, heart pounding in your chest, while just beyond the tall grass, a pair of amber eyes gleam in the moonlight. You're not a tourist in a safari park. You're a hunter-gatherer in Ice Age Europe. And that thing watching you? It's not a lion, not a bear, it's a saber-tooth. A predator with 7-inch fangs, muscles like steel cables, and an instinct for ambush that's been perfected over millions of years. You're not safe in a cave. You're not safe in a tree. You are prey. But here's the twist your kind wins. Not just once, but forever. How did humans, with no claws, no fangs, and no speed, outsmart the most terrifying predator of the prehistoric world? This is not just a story of survival. It's the real, raw, and bloody battle between humans and saber-tooths, where only one species would come out on top. They were never supposed to lose. Saber-tooths were nature's perfect killing machine, with jaws that open wider than any big cat alive today, and canines longer than your hand. They weren't just built to kill, they were built to terrify. For millions of years, they ruled the food chain, lurking in forests and grasslands, ambushing anything unfortunate enough to wander too close. They didn't chase like cheetahs. They didn't stalk like wolves. They waited, and then boom. One pounce, one bite, and it was over. Now picture the world back then, an unforgiving Ice Age landscape, stretching from the frozen plains of Europe to the dense forests of ancient America. Temperatures plummeting, food scarce, dangers everywhere. And right there, moving through this brutal wilderness in small groups, were early humans. We had no claws, no sharp teeth, no protective fur or thick skin. Compared to the saber-tooth, we were weak, exposed, fragile. Every single day was a gamble. Gathering berries? You could be tracked. Fetching water? Something might already be watching you from the tree line. Sleeping? Better have someone standing guard. Because the saber-tooth didn't care if you were old, young, fast, or smart. If it caught you out in the open, you didn't stand a chance. And this wasn't a rare encounter, it was constant. Saber-tooths weren't rare monsters. They were common threats. These were creatures humans lived with, shared land with, fought with, lost people to. But here's the question that haunts history. How did we survive? How did this soft-skinned, relatively slow, physically unimpressive species ever manage to last, let alone thrive, alongside a predator that made lions look like kittens? Because at first glance, it looks impossible. A mismatch. A guaranteed extinction. Us versus them? We shouldn't have made it past the first round. And yet, we did. Not just barely, but decisively. Over time, humans didn't just survive the saber-tooth. They outlasted it. They learned to track it, predict it, and eventually even hunt it. But in this part of the story, we're still in the shadows. Still huddled in caves. Still whispering around fires, telling stories about monsters with golden eyes and silent paws. And every sound in the dark, every snap of a twig, could mean death. This was the raw, unfiltered reality of our ancestors. Before kings, before empires, before cities. It was just man versus monster. But survival isn't about strength. It's not about fangs or speed or raw muscle. It's about something deeper, something more dangerous, adaptation. And if the saber-tooth was evolution's answer to the perfect predator, then early humans were evolution's answer to the perfect survivor. We didn't grow sharper claws, we shaped sharper stones. We didn't develop better eyesight, we learned to communicate, to point, to warn. Saber-tooths hunted alone or in small family groups. But humans? We began forming something else entirely: tribes, communities, units that worked together, shared food, watched each other's backs, and crucially, passed down knowledge. Knowledge that said, don't go near that ravine at night. That's where they wait. Or, light the fire high, they hate the light. This was the first real shift in the balance of power. The moment where human minds started to matter more than animal strength. And the weapon wasn't a spear, it was memory. We remembered the attacks. We mapped where they happened. We started to predict the movements of our predators. And slowly, across generations, that knowledge turned into something even more valuable. Strategy. We set up lookouts. We traveled in groups. We chose higher ground. And when one of us fell, the others didn't scatter, they learned. In fact, some of the earliest cave paintings ever discovered don't show people farming or feasting. They show predators. Giant cats, animals with long teeth and curved bodies. Those weren't just pictures. They were warnings. This thing is real. This thing is dangerous. And this is how we remember. And while saber-tooths had size and power on their side, they had a critical weakness. They were specialists. Built for ambush, not endurance. Built to take down isolated prey, not a coordinated, tool-wielding tribe. They could kill, but they couldn't adapt. Their bodies didn't change. Their tactics didn't evolve. Ours did. Every generation of humans grew smarter, bolder, more organized. And with each fire lit, each trap set, each sharpened spear crafted, humans crept one step closer to shifting from prey to predator. But that shift wasn't sudden. It was carved out slowly, painfully, and often at great cost. For every trap that worked, there were 10 that didn't. For every saber-tooth that was driven away, another took a life. Yet somehow, even through the blood and fear and loss, humans kept rising, kept adapting, kept learning. Because we weren't just fighting to survive the night. We were fighting to own it. Eventually, something shifted not in the wild, but in the minds of humans. Fear didn't disappear, but it changed shape. We stopped running from saber-tooths and started planning for them. Not just avoiding danger, but confronting it. Some of the earliest evidence we have of coordinated hunts shows humans working together to surround and trap large predators. That's not luck. That's warfare. That's intention. By this point, early humans had developed long-range weapon spears, stone-tipped projectiles, even early throwing devices like atlatls that could strike from a distance. That changed everything. The saber-tooth's one great advantage, its deadly pounce, was neutralized the moment humans didn't have to be within reach. And once we could hit from a distance, we became the ambushers. But more than weapons, we had numbers, culture, strategy, fire. Our settlements began expanding. Saber-tooths, on the other hand, needed large hunting territories and stealthy, open environments. As humans cleared land, built structures, and hunted in larger bands, saber-tooths found fewer places to hide, fewer animals to hunt, and far more humans that were now hunting them back. Over time, saber-tooths started retreating, pushed further from their prime hunting grounds. And with every new generation of humans, the balance tipped further. It wasn't just that we survived. It was that we adapted faster than they ever could. And in a world that was rapidly changing, warming after the Ice Age, forests turning to plains, adaptability was the real apex trait. Eventually, the saber-tooth vanished. Not in a single moment, not in one great battle, but in a slow, quiet extinction. No final roar, no epic showdown, just silence. One of the most terrifying predators the world had ever known wiped out by fire, stone, and brain. And yet, their legacy didn't vanish. We kept their memory alive in cave paintings, in whispered legends, in the fear encoded into our DNA. Because deep down, we remember what it meant to be hunted, to walk through tall grass, knowing something might be waiting. That primal fear, it shaped us, drove us, made us into what we are. So the next time someone tells you humans are soft, or that we don't belong at the top of the food chain, remember this. We didn't inherit our place. We earned it. Against monsters with knives for teeth and no mercy in their eyes. And we didn't just survive them. We outthought them. We beat them. In the end, the Sabertooth didn't vanish because it was weak. It vanished because humans refused to stay prey. We weren't the fastest. We weren't the strongest. But we were the most relentless. Every scar, every loss, every near-death moment, it all built something in us. A memory, a fire, a drive to never be hunted again. That ancient war still echoes in us. The fear of the dark. The chill when something rustles in the grass. The instinct to look over your shoulder. It's not paranoia, it's history. Etched deep into our bones by creatures like the Sabertooth. Creatures that once ruled the land, but lost their throne to the most unlikely competitor. Us. And if that story doesn't give you chills, just remember, your ancestors didn't just live through that world. They won. So what do you think? Could you have survived a night in Sabertooth territory? Could you have been the one holding the torch, leading the tribe, planning the hunt? Or would you have been the one left in the dark? If that thought gave you goosebumps, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button, because this is just the beginning. From Ice Age battles to forgotten species, we're diving deep into the prehistoric world you were built for. Stick around, your ancestors have stories you've never heard. And trust me, they're not done telling them.